Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Sachin. Hope everyone's well. I just want to get a quick sound check. If you don't mind, if you could just type in the chat box that you could hear me, that would be awesome. Hey Priya, thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. What's up, Tibby? Hey Ruth, hey Nikki, Megan, Debbie, Belinda, Charmaine, welcome. Hi Constantia, how are you? Hi Danielle, thanks for joining us, guys. So this has never happened, but Andrew is on his way, so he should be here soon. This is the chaotic thing about Toronto and the crazy traffic that we have. It's very unpredictable. It actually took me about 15 minutes to get here today, and I only live a kilometer away. Oh, here he is. Welcome, brother.
Sorry to keep you.
No worries,
it was,
man.
An accident. When roads close off, it's...
We have a forgiving audience.
Well, that's good to hear. One sec here. Thanks for joining us.
Right here.
Right. Good to see you.
Andrew's got his beautiful blue blockers on. I brought mine. I'm going to show you guys my true darks. These have actually transformed my sleep, so hopefully they can do something very similar for you. Welcome.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man. This is exciting. So Andrew Scopick is his name, the man with no title, because I don't want to confine him to a box, to a title. But Andrew's going to share his amazing story, his transformation. He's recently joined our team as what we call a healthy home specialist, and he's also training to become a high-performance coach, and is a pretty high-performance kind of guy. So I think you're going to learn a lot from him today. So Andrew, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for all of you who stood in a couple extra minutes there to have the patience for me to check in. So thanks for coming out, and I hope that you take the opportunity to send us your questions, and we really want to make this interactive, because I think this is a good starting point for what Sachin and I feel is a new theme of topic. Health is sort of, it has its own legs and its own arms, but when you start looking at the demands that are now placed on people in our modern age, it becomes apparent that we're not living in a regular world anymore. We have exceptional goals, we have exceptional dreams, and it's incredible to meet the people that share that with you. But I guess where I can really start before I maybe get into the topic with Sachin about high performance and having a healthy home, I guess this goes back. The first encounter I had with the body was probably when I was in grade 5, and that was when I grabbed my mom's 5-pound weight. Just don't tell her, because she still doesn't know that I did this. But I started doing some wrist curls, and I noticed a vein starting to show up within 30 minutes of doing something like this. And actually it was less. I couldn't nearly go that long. But what initially started as just a fascination and a fond interest progressively turned into something in high school where I used it to kind of prop myself up, weightlifting and strength training and manipulating the body to overcome bullying. And it wasn't bullying in the sense where people were throwing fists at me and stuff, but when you're a bit of a loner and you're trying to feel things out, and obviously there's girls around, there's guys you look up to around, but nobody really connects with you. I use that as sort of a stepping stone to really get interested in what we truly are, which is a fawn specimen of the cosmos. You call it what it is. I mean, at that age, all I knew is that I wanted to pursue it. So fast forward, I found myself in university, graduating with a Bachelor of Science and having a kinesiology and physics degree, and being more confused than ever. I was very, I'll be honest, I got out and I was very lost. I ended up taking a job at Foot Locker and just trying to find my way through things. Personal training gig didn't go well. The manager wanted to, take his end under the table and kind of push me out of it. But I think the biggest sort of first stage challenge I had was when all of a sudden I'm in a sales oriented job, and my mother starts to complain of some serious joint problems, and she was bedridden for a period of about 2.5 months. And during that point, I was her chauffeur, because normally my mom and I we're very close. I'm the mama's boy, and so it fast forwarded it to the point where no one had answers. And so that was my first encounter with the mystery fat folder syndrome, I call it, and where you really don't know what's going on. So it got to a point where, you know, hearing her moan during the night with all my brothers and my father sleeping, it was heartbreaking. And I knew that since I was the quote unquote health guy, that maybe there was something there that maybe I should dive into. So yeah, so I guess really came down to a quick trip to Chapters and studying natural healing. I found a book saying preventing arthritis. And from there, I landed myself into a slew of thinking regarding, circulation, inflammation, reducing swelling, healing the joints, and started experimenting, to be honest. And my mother has been pain-free since that point in time. It only took us about 2 to 3 weeks of some really interesting stuff. And, you know, you might have heard of MSM, you might have heard of arnica. So we're trying different things and really just using even Chinese methods of moving the qi and the energy. And so that was an incredible opportunity. And then it went into my father's headaches, my brother's TMJ, my own elbow injury that I suffered greatly from, and bad shoulders, bad knees from being very, very active but very aggressive. And, you know, all well and good, we were able to nail those off and then work on our pets and then start to help, you know, close friends and family in that. But I think the biggest encounter came when I opened up a company and I was selling products, and all of a sudden health products, I'm at health expos and that. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, I'm suffering greatly. And it progressed and it progressed and it progressed. And over about 3.5 years, I basically had no lung capacity, no vital lung function. It really progressed to a point where it just was out of control. And so that brings me to our first topic, which is healthy home. And healthy home, well, my story is that, you know, we discovered mold inside the walls. That was hidden beyond the naked eye. So we needed some thorough investigation and inspection techniques to be able to go there. So, you know, it's been a long road, because even through that, you know, becoming a Buteyko breathing educator, studying under Paul Chek to become a holistic lifestyle consultant, like, you never stop learning. And I think the best one was when I was inspired by people like Amir Rosic, and then I was watching Sachin, and they were talking about functional medicine. So I went under Reed Davis and got certified in FDN, functional diagnostics, nutrition. And that's when I got my lab results back, and I knew I was really in bad shape, and boom, boom, boom. So here we are now.
Wow. So quite the journey you've been on. And I still remember you telling me the story about how you had such a hard time breathing. Speaking of the mold, it's something that is obviously very concerning because it's usually hidden. Mm-hmm. It's not something people give a lot of consideration to. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's probably something that's overlooked because some people in the house may be sick and some people may not be sick. So there's some people that are more responsive to these type of elements in the home, and some are less responsive, which makes people question whether it's the home that's the problem. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they might come to us, or they might go see another holistic practitioner who then tries to fix their body, but it's really their home that's the issue. So any clinicians that are watching, this might be a good clinical pearl for all of you. You know, if you've kind of done the diet, the nutrition, the lifestyle, they're exercising, they're sleeping, they're doing all these things, but they're not getting better, then it could be their home. And certainly we shouldn't just try to get somebody better and ignore their home. Even if they get better under care, we shouldn't ignore the fact that their home could still be contributing and still be setting a ceiling for them in terms of reaching optimal health. And that's kind of where the high performance part of it comes in, because we were talking about this, and somebody who's a high performer, you're only going to be a high performer if everything around you is working the way it's supposed to and fueling your growth and fueling the things that you're trying to do. But if that's missing, if your home's missing, that's a problem. And we also like really invest in this area, because one of the other things that we do for our patients is we also do feng shui for them. And the home, the space, the office where we spend time has to be healing and nurturing, and certainly not for a lot of people. So there could be physical issues going on in the home, like mold. There could also be, for some people, traumatic issues going on with the home, right? Some people, if they had an abusive childhood or something, there could be trauma, emotional trauma tied to the home. But what are the most common things that you see? Like when you go into somebody's home and you do, a 300-point inspection, what are the things that you're checking off kind of the most often that you see problematic with
Well, I think the idea here, and Sachin brings up an important one, that, some are affected, others aren't. It's an accumulation. Everything is an accumulation. So when you finally make it into the office and you have these set of symptoms, it's an accumulation. Your body's just finally kind of tapping out. And so I think the most common thing that I see is really some of the minor stuff that adds up to become just an accumulation of allergens. So the one thing for me was, in fact, that I've noticed are people's carpets. People's carpets are, in fact, one of the most sort of like unseen threats that I've encountered. If you were to vacuum it repeatedly, like, all due respect, even wool carpets, even quality wool carpets, pose an allergen threat. So an allergen is really a trigger. So anytime you breathe something in, and on a side note, breathing tends to be very effective through your nose, but since most people breathe through their mouths, it becomes a little bit difficult to filter anything when you're breathing in these particles in through your mouth. So I would say number one is the carpet. And if you have breathing or allergy issues, maybe it's time to replace it, upgrade it. If you really think you need a carpet, that's fine. I understand there's a comfort element there, but I know for me, when I got rid of my carpets, there was a huge lightness to the room. Mm-hmm. And when you go into a home sort of post recommendations, when we do these inspections, you'll notice that the family themselves say, yeah, you're right, it's just so much lighter in here. So I think that's one of the big ones. And clear out old stuff, because when you clear out old clothing, they attract a lot of dust mites. Obviously, old mattresses too absorb a ton of dust mites. I mean, we're talking pounds and pounds of dust mites that just absorb in the lifetime of any product that has the ability to absorb that. So, so
if you were to weigh your mattress when you bought it, and after 5 years, let's say, it would weigh different, right?
Yeah.
And carpets can accumulate up to 3 times their weight.
Absolutely.
In dust. So no matter how much you vacuum, you're never going to get that stuff out of there, and it just becomes a problem. So we've got a bunch of people on the call, and I just want to make sure that we answer their questions, because we're doing this for you guys. We obviously can't cover all 300 points of Andrew's inspection on this call. So if you have any questions, we would love to hear them. We'd love to know more about, now that you know a little bit more about Andrew, we'd love to know more about what you're looking for out of this webinar, out of this presentation, because we're really here to help you dig a little bit deeper into, perhaps a mystery illness that you might have, or an environment that you might not feel as good in, and you might not know where to look, and who to call to help you in these areas, because it's not an easy service to find. I don't think anyone's really doing this, right?
No, it's almost, that's why there was some intrepidation, like just sort of the hesitation of, oh, am I actually going to have myself and others go into someone's home? It's a very personal space. It's like, buying underwear for your uncle at Christmas. It just doesn't necessarily seem like the right thing at first, but maybe your uncle later on will appreciate that. But, I think that's the first thing, is that it's a very personal thing, and that people tend to hold things very dear to them. So you're like, well, get rid of that carpet. And meanwhile, that carpet has been in their family for 10 or 15 years. Well, you might be saying something about a loved one that they took the carpet from in a passing. So you sort of have to, you just got to be objective. And I think that's the key, is that, you either want to try this, or you want to try that, and kind of see where that goes. So yeah.
Okay. Wade asks, what's a good non-toxic mattress? I think that's a really good question. In fact, I'm curious. I think I know what the answer is, but I'm in the process of buying a new mattress right now for our family. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Well, actually, so I can help you, Wade, if you'd like. Where are you actually? Like what province, what state are you in? Because I mean, I'll speak specifically about at least in Ontario. Oh, California. Okay. So a lot of the products themselves are sort of segregated within, as you can imagine, a mattress isn't exactly something a company wants to ship right across North America because there's a very, very heavy shipping fee. So we're not quite at that point where, yeah. So they will ship, but what I'm trying to get to here is that there are a lot of companies that are now coming onto the market. I know for at least our purposes, and this is a surprise I had for Sachin, our friends at Dormio, they are the largest in Ontario, and they have a number of showrooms, and they're offering all the viewers a 10% off their mattress set. And you can actually go to their showroom, and you mentioned living proof, and you'll go to their showroom, and they honestly, it's like a luxury car showroom. They have about 15 to 20 beds already set up. They range anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, upwards of $16,000. Now that's the price plus the topper, plus the sheets, plus tax. So it's sort of like it really gets up there, but I'll say the one thing that I regret is that I didn't do it sooner. It was a huge difference. A lot of people who are also, very reactive to some of these home allergens, and we're talking mold. We can get to that in a second. I can give you a few pointers on what you should be looking for when you may suspect mold. But really the big thing is that a mattress itself, not only were we talking about dust mites and allergens, but flame retardants, these materials are actually covered and sprayed in chemicals. So they're made through and through with synthetic, laboratory approved, unapproved chemicals. So, I mean, the more that you bring your skin in contact with that, and I mean, who doesn't occasionally want to breathe through their skin? I mean, 24/7, 365, we do this. And especially if you're perspiring, I mean, obviously you also want to be, in a cool setting when you're sleeping. But that was a big difference I noticed, is just having the opportunity to have just a clean, fresh mattress. And
what would you say for Wade? He's in Southern California.
So Wade, if I can give you a recommendation, I mean, I don't know exactly if Dormio will ship. If they do, then that's the route I would go. They can give you a number of parameters to be able to choose the right one, and obviously the right budget. But the other point too is you can send us an email, and I can connect with you outside, and we can actually look in California and see what type of opportunities there are, or what type of products are being offered there. So that would be my first one is Dormio, because I did all the searching through all the different brands, and it just became apparent that when you're good at something and you have this many opportunities to service people, that it becomes obvious that this early in the game you must be doing something right, because most people don't have organic or non-toxic mattresses. It's a really new it's a new theory of thought right now, and I think some people are really having a hard time conceiving of spending that kind of money on a mattress. We spend a little bit of time on there. So
yeah, I mean, we certainly do. I mean, it's got to fit your budget, right? You can't lose sleep at night about your mattress, right?
Yeah.
I also think that it's important to, find sometimes even a topper might just be what you need. So it depends on the person. It's always best. It's hard to recommend a bed or a pillow to anybody unless they actually try it. And you want to always buy a mattress that has a good return policy. So work with a company that, can allow you to switch that mattress out if it's not the right fit or suit for you. So have some sort of return policy. I know Tempur-Pedic has a return policy, not to say to get a Tempur-Pedic. That's actually what I have. And I've had it for years. I'm sure, it's taken a few years off my life at this point. Just kidding. But, you know, I wouldn't buy that mattress again. I bought it before I knew everything I know now, but I'm also not just going to throw it in a landfill because I think that would be irresponsible. But I think that there's, you know, with mattresses, it could be a tricky thing. Dormia is definitely a company that you stand behind. I have yet to sleep on one, so I'll recommend it once I've had a chance to sleep on one. I know I think Tibi has a Dormio bed as well. So, you know, our members of our team have used it and swear by it. So that would be a good place to probably start. We've got a question from Debbie, and she says, mold can be toxic to remove. What are some costly options or cost-saving options or cost-effective options?
Well, you know, if you're in a condo or you're renting or you're leasing, that should be something that you shouldn't feel much pressure to, because that should be up to the landlord themselves. You are a tenant, and they need to make sure. So I think the first thing before you sort of, and I'll get to the cost-effective option, but you should first at least have some testing done to verify that what you have is in fact mold. You know, just because there's a little bit of slight discoloration or some moisture or a smell on the window, it doesn't necessarily mean you have mold. So, but in terms of giving you a cost-effective option, I know there's one aspect that of essential oils that would be a really effective solution, pun intended. So I know that On Guard is one of the better ones for just, you know, eradicating molds and other toxic substances, bacteria, viruses. So you could really create a solution with an essential oil blend like On Guard to be able to wipe a surface clean. That was a great timing there. Yeah, beautiful. I'm not sure, do they have On Guard in the form of a cleaning product, a cleaning solution where you would dilute it?
I know they have soap. I don't know if they have an actual like bathroom cleaner or anything. I guess another thing for mold, I actually almost bought a house with mold. And I love the house, and we got to the point where we did a home inspection, and there was a tiny leak that was caused by moisture accumulating on the garden hose pipe that goes to the outside of the house, and condensation was getting in, and there was a slow leak that was just getting in behind the walls. And the way the water was running, it just created mold behind this wall in the house. And thankfully the home inspector found it, but it was very subtle. So sometimes and this person's never had the inkling that they have a mold problem because they never had a flood. So it could be a slow leak. It could also be a moisture issue. So depending on how well ventilated your bathroom is, you want to keep the ventilation system on your bathroom for several hours afterwards. You want to open your windows. I mean, sometimes it's the basic stuff, but if you do have the mold, then I don't know if this is the time to, let me say this right. I don't know if this is the time to be cheap about it. You want to get it done right. So you want to do what's right for you, especially if you feel like it's compromising your health in some way. This is an area that you want to pay special attention to, in my opinion.
There's a good question there about EMFs. To answer your question, absolutely. Who is that?
So Danielle asked us about EMFs and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. I mean, we can demo it on our phones.
Yep. I just put that on.
So I just got a Samsung S8. I switched from an iPhone 6. So let's see.
So it's creeping up. We're at 2, 3, and so this is there's a couple of things here that
up there so
we'll try to show you.
You're right here.
So let's go back. So first off, you can see the two lights, right? And as you just sort of get further and further away, and it's actually picking up some. Obviously, you're in an office building, and there's probably electrical wires, but you can see it's calming down. And then as you get closer, and even to the laptop and to the computer, you can see. I mean, this is peaking.
Man, the computer's worse than the cell phone.
Yeah, the laptops are often.
Go close to the monitor.
Yeah. You can see it's really lighting up nicely. It's lighting up like a Christmas tree. Like the laptops tend to have a fair bit of juice. Yeah. So.
And we're cooking here.
Yeah.
So we're basically cooking in a microwave right now.
Yep. Yeah, we're cooking. So thankfully, there's a couple of things we can be doing. So first off, my underwear is it contains silver material, so that's very helpful to protect the goods. And you know, you've heard of obviously some of the Aries products, so they're really helpful as well. But no, that's a really great question, Danielle.
Got mine right here.
Yeah, I got mine underneath my phone case. So yeah, it's beautiful. But you know, I mean, the idea here, let's make sure we're covering some of the concepts that we had discussed in there. But let's get into some of these points that we brought up, just so that each one of you can make some notes, or maybe you can you know, actually take your laptop with you while you go around your house and maybe try a few things. But again, like the goal is to always be trying something new, and if there's no feedback, if the feedback loop itself says, well, I don't notice anything, that doesn't mean you just give up, right? It's just like riding a bike when you were a child. If you had listened to your first instincts of I'm done with that, children tend to just keep on going until they're told by someone else that they should stop. But you know, we were talking earlier about even hotels. I'm sure a lot of you travel, but specifically, how many of you actually work from home? So the home office has now become not only a cost-effective measure, but a time-effective one, because who really wants to sit in traffic? I mean, part of my tardiness was due to the fact that my driving time wasn't quite adjusted for the evening rush hour plus accidents. So, you know, the big thing for any of this to come together, whether it be like
talk about the hotel. So what do we look at for people who are traveling?
Well, so the first thing that I like to do when I approach a hotel is, first step, make yourself at home. Because anytime, and this is something I hear from a lot of people who travel, and then they tell me, well, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it so well. And then when I actually get a chance to talk to them, it really becomes apparent that they don't quite get comfortable. And so what I mean by that is, you know, maybe there's certain things you want to unplug. So, you know, if we fast forward into the evening, that bright light that's sitting by the bed, I always unplug the light. The microwave that's sitting in front of me or to the side on top of the fridge, that also gets unplugged, because that's obviously got a flashing light. But in terms of making yourself comfortable, just that. I mean, take off your shoes, take off your socks, I crack out your diffuser, get the essential oils going. You know, make sure when you make a trip to the bathroom that you notice their nice, you know, bar of soap, complimentary soap and shampoo and conditioner, that, you know, you move those to the side graciously enough and thank them for, and not thank them. But you're going to crack out your own products. So you really want to come ready. And what I mean by that is, bring your natural soap, bring your natural shampoo or conditioner, bring your natural products. You know, the other one too, no word of a lie, is everywhere I travel with a shower filter and a wrench. And that even means California when I'm off to do a training or go to a conference or you know, traveling just in general. So a wrench. And I'm sure people in the hallway are wondering, what's that sound coming from that bathroom? But I removed the actual shower head. The shower portion is usually attached to the pipe. And so I remove that and I just install this and we're good to go. So that's a big one too, because there are a lot of places that there's varying degrees of chlorinated water supply. So, you know, places down south and north of Toronto, they tend to have a really high concentration. And I've been able to experiment just with even the smell with and without the filter on. So that's something that you'd want to pack away as well. I also think the approach, you know, it's just like a plane. There's a bunch of things that take place before the client gets on the plane. It's the same with a hotel. what are you bringing to the hotel? How are you showing up? So, did you drink enough water? Did you bring water with you? Or are you going to be drinking out of the tap? So, I show up with a cooler, or I show up with food and snacks if possible, then my stay in the hotel is going to be very comfortable. And I think one of the biggest challenges of traveling, not just with a hotel, but also where do I go and eat? What do I eat? So there's definitely some ways to improve that and make the most of that. So, yeah. So
what my go-to, I've been traveling a lot lately, and my go-to in my kit is very simple. I have a natural shaving cream, which I get from Trader Joe's, by the way. I have my shaving blades, and then I have Dr. Bronner's, which is like my go-to everything. And then I use On Guard toothpaste. Don't have any cavities, so I'm doing good so far. And that's pretty much it. So you can travel pretty light. I've never brought a shower filter with me, but I'm going to try doing that and see how that works out. Do you ever get pulled over in the security line?
I mean, when obviously your luggage is getting checked and there's a wrench sticking out, it's not the first time that you'll have, your luggage lock snapped when you pick it up. But you know what? It's just one of the the pitfalls of traveling. It's such a massive difference, and if you listen to people like Paul Check, even he's mentioned it a few times that he's he not only travels with a shower filter, but he often forgets them. So he's always having to repurchase one. But I have one for my home, and then I have one to travel with. So it's always in my luggage. You can't possibly forget it. A couple of other points I might bring up with the hotel, because I think it's a strong one for a lot of people. The idea that obviously if you have traffic nearby, or you have a parking lot and you're not used to that noise, there might be some earplugs that you might like to try out, and to try and improve the quality of the sound or lack of sound, the silence inside the hotel. And I also think the other pitfall of hotels is that you can't custom design your hotel. So you're stuck with the curtains. You're stuck with the light booming through, the street lights coming through. So another one would be, obviously like, the dark glasses, but I use something called...
Where did I get mine?
Get in there. Superhero time. I use, and if you haven't seen this before, this is also a great product too for the purposes of meditation, mindfulness, and just having some quiet time. But the Mindfold, Alex Gray, the visionary artist, popularized this product, and you can actually find it, I believe, on his site, along with some really cool artwork that you have to get. Oh yeah, there we go. Next level.
I'll be back.
You'll be back.
I'm back, guys.
He's back.
So these are known as True Darks, and they're made by co-produced by Dave Asprey. So he co-founded the company, and they're actually pretty awesome. I can't get speaking about the street lights, I can't get it completely dark for the life of me where I live. And actually, Dave Asprey gave me a good idea about getting some magnets and getting them, buying curtains and magnets and stuff like that. So I'm going to try that. But all the light that's coming into my home, because I face the street, is blue light. So when I put these on, which they look completely red, you guys can probably see that. When I put these on, all that light goes away. So I actually sleep with these on. Mm-hmm. And my wife sleeps with an eye mask on. I sleep with these on. And because eye mask for me always falls off, and these actually stay on, and my sleep has improved significantly. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I'll usually, now that the sun is kind of setting, probably the next hour or so after it sets, I'll put these on in the home. So if I want to watch, like I watch Dragon's Den in the evening sometimes to wind down, or I might have to answer a few emails. So I'll actually have these on, and they block out all the light from all around. So they're pretty cool, actually. I would
Super
say.
Gangster, right, Tippy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and actually here, Danielle brings up a good point. I was just going to mention, I had a lot of trouble with streetlights at my home, and it took me a number of sort of trial and error periods where it was working, it was improving, but yet there was still light pouring in. But I actually doubled up. So there are two types of blackout blinds. The first one is more like the accordion style pull down, where it's dual layered. So that alone for most people would probably blow them away. But that yet wasn't enough, because then you have the curtains. And so I actually did both. I got the pull down accordion, and they're tightly fitted. And I mean, my window is at least 8 feet long and 3 feet high. So that's completely covered down. And then I pull the curtains across and I make sure they're all tight. And even at any hour of the morning, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, all the way till 11 p.m., it is honestly a bat cave. Like Batman gave me a shout out once because it was so dark. He didn't really, but it's so absolutely dark in that room that you're actually feeling your way around. So yeah.
Nice. Vaseline asks, what do you do when you live in a senior citizen home? Great question. And what is a list of top 5 or 6 things that a person can do?
Well, this is a first. That's a great question. And I mean, anytime there's a first, that just means you got to put your thinking cap on alongside our thinking glasses. So every single time I introduce myself to someone in their home and they're looking to kind of take things to the next level, I just tell them to first start off where they spend most of their time. So as an example, let's just assume your home or your bedroom inside the home. I'm assuming it has a TV. Well, I would start there. I would try to reduce the lights in your room. Like, obviously you don't want to look like you're, got the blinds pulled across all day and you're ignoring everybody. But it's very common for people to wonder why they're so tired in the morning, but yet they had the TV on all night. So the first thing I would do is really try to minimize the lights. And whether it be an overhead light, though those are some of the worst, because that mimics, the effect of sun over top of us, and our cells think it's daytime. So between that and the TV, I would also encourage people to play with temperature in the room, because that's likely going to help with sleep. I know it's really common to be wanting to be warm or warmer so that you're comfortable, but in fact the body sleeps much deeper when it's cooler. So that's something else that you have a lot of control over. Depending on your support network and your friends, your family, maybe there's something they can bring you, a nice oil bottle, a nice On Guard bottle with a diffuser, and that'll help. Because the other thing too you have to keep in mind is, where are you right now in a home? Well, in other rooms, there's a lot of illness going on. And I mean, that doesn't have to be that way, but that's usually associated with senior citizen homes is an ill health sort of groundwork there. So I would get into the essential oils as well, and even get in, like, if they're feeding you certain types of foods like they do in hospitals, then I would also be looking at saying, like, maybe there's some snacks that can be brought in to you, maybe some clean water. You definitely, as I understand from the homes I've seen that I visited, you could get a shower filter on there, no problem. Get some clean soaps, and really just, there's a lot of opportunity to just take a look around. Like, oh, why do I have a Glade plug-in or a scented candle? I don't need that. Air freshener, I don't need that. The fan can take that scent away.
So a couple of things that I would say, if you are in a senior citizen home, one is to get the right mattress, because you're going to sleep every night. Get a shower filter, because you're probably going to shower every day. Use natural personal care products, because of course you're going to take care of yourself every day. Make sure your water is filtered. That would be another good suggestion. And if you're going to be spending time there and you want to heal, I would also have an essential oil nebulizer, or an atomizer, and you can use different essential oils for different times. So if you want to feel more energized, you can use a different oil. If you want to feel more relaxed, you can use a different oil that might even help you sleep better at night, or help you in that area. You can also buy little black circles. You can just probably get them at a hardware store. You can also get them from True Dark, where they sell the glasses. You can put these over the little lights that are on your screen, or on your television, or electronic devices. So that's another option for you as well. You can just put a little piece of tape to cover that. Electrical tape will do the job as well. And then the other thing that I think is very important is, if you're going to be spending time there, have a feng shui expert come and check the space out. The direction that things are pointing in, and the direction you sleep in, all these things are known to impact your health in some way. So you want to make sure, one thing that I learned from my coach is that your feet should never face the door. So when you're setting up your bed, when you're at bed in bed at night, your feet should never face the door because you're losing all that energy. So simple things like that can sometimes make a big difference. And especially if your goal is to use your home as a healing tool, as a intervention, then you want to dig as deep as you need to find some answers.
Yeah, and just I really want to reiterate one point, that the idea of high performance, this isn't about competing in some major athletic event. This is about just being able to perform whatever life calls of you. So at the root of that, any great or any true high performer, someone that gives a lot, gets a lot, shares a lot, there's one thing behind all of that, and that's energy. So the one aspect that I had to take a real crash course in and a lesson in is, what am I doing or not doing in my home that seems to be pulling my energy away? You know, mold aside, carpets aside, air filtration hooked up. Like, what was that aspect that was pulling energy? And if you're plugged in front of the TV, if you're constantly around devices too late in the evening, if you know you're obviously also having maybe company over too late, too often, those are the things too you have to consider. And really the question I have for you is, what are you doing when no one's looking? I think that's one of the strongest questions that propel me forward, is to really think, like, you know, what are you doing right now? And is it something that's bringing you closer or bringing you further from your goals?
Wade has a good question.
Yeah.
And he's rebuilding his clinic. All right, Wade, I'm happy to hear that. He's a functional medicine practitioner out of Southern California.
Awesome. And
just an awesome all-around guy. So those of you in the Southern California area, we've got a practitioner that you can go see out there. Wade's asking, he's remodeling his clinic, mm-hmm. and he's moving away from wall-to-wall carpet, and he's moving to a hard surface. And nice. He was going to go with a pergo type flooring. He's wondering if you have any natural or some more non-toxic solutions for him.
Well, again, a great question. I think that I think ultimately this is the same, no matter where you are, no matter what the question is, no matter what the product is. We all have to be detectives. We all have to be researchers. And yeah, you can't trust everything on the internet, but yeah, guess what? You can probably trust most of it. So the first thing I would do is figure out what products are local. So if there's a distributor for that flooring in the area, I would go to him and say, like, what options do you have for hardwood, and which ones aren't treated? Which ones are more natural? That may mean certain sort of pitfalls of the product, and may not last as long because obviously maybe it gets, you know, kind of beaten up because it's not sealed in and there's no chemical that's protecting it. But that would be my approach is, you know, first, if you're not sure who to find, I guess that's the first question is, if you don't know who's going to be the one putting in the floor, my first question would be, go online and find someone who has the options you're looking for, find a distributor, find a supplier, and just do a local search, because you likely want someone in the area that can do this for you, unless you just want them to ship it and then, you know, you're going to get a team to do it. And then second to that, even before you go ahead and order, is maybe make a bunch of phone calls and just ask them. And what I've done when I'm looking for products that I feel are a good fit for that level up that I'm looking for, I'll call the company. And if they've been in business a long time, they sound reputable, and it feels like a good fit. Like, you can usually tell if someone's just trying to process a sale. You can usually get that in the conversation. But that's what I would do. I would actually ask for non-toxic flooring alternatives. Hardwood floor is great. Even they call them, I forget what they're called now. I'm just going through a house build, but we're not quite at the floor stage. But there's a very suitable option where it's now sort of a man-made hardwood floor. It lasts long, and in fact, there's from what I'm seeing, there's nothing toxic about it. But I'm still going to look into it more. Yeah, engineered, exactly, like the synthesized flooring.
What about tile? Isn't tile non-toxic? I mean, I think that would be.
Yeah, tile is not only non-toxic, it's it's not necessarily that vibe a lot of people are looking for. It's great for potentially bathrooms or kitchens. But I think the look that really is so popular now is that hardwood or the engineered floor. What I would do, Wade, is take or go, if possible, or have them ship to you a sample of both their hardwood and a sample of their engineered. And I would actually do a sniff test. This is how I test a lot of things. I rub it on my skin, and I sort of like, I smell it. And if you can smell a scent, that tends to tell you that there's something there that may be off-gassing. But again, like, the manufacturer should know how it's made, and they should be able to ask those questions.
So Tom Malter, hey Tom, what's up, brother? How are you? Glad to see you on the call. He says that he uses a very low toxic product, and it's based out of Southern California. And he got it from a place called Cali Bamboo, so that should help you. And Tom's clinic is in Bellingham Functional Medicine, so just a shout out for you there. And Wade, if that's close by to you, then maybe you guys can connect and you can go check it out. Or maybe Tom, you can post some pictures for. Maybe you can send me some pictures on Facebook, and I can make sure that Wade gets a hold of those, so you can take a look at those. So there you go. Thanks for asking, Wade, and thanks for responding there, Tom. I appreciate that. And there are also tiles that look like hardwood. Yes, those are nice. And then Tom says laminate flooring has numerous substances that do not smell, including aluminum. So there could be elements, obviously, that don't have an odor to them. So thanks for that.
Did we get to the top one there, Simran? Did we get to that a little bit?
No, we didn't. So
it looks like a big one. I mean, you got to give some props there to Simran for throwing that up.
Simran's question is, so she's asking about what are some of the usual suspects when it comes to poor sleep and even controlling light exposure. And then the second part of her question is, she recently moved into a 150-year-old house. Must be beautiful. But she's having a hard time sleeping, and she thinks that previously where she's sleeping used to be the attic, and she can't get proper sleep. I mean, I'll let you go in a second, but first thing I would say is to look at the feng shui in that space. But maybe you can tackle any other things.
Yeah, I mean, the first and foremost before you really, and this is a good checklist before you move in anywhere, is get it organized, have it set up properly. Feng shui is something that I've gotten into sort of late or later in my quest. And what a difference it plays. So that's something that right off the bat, depending on what type of energy is being released, if that was an attic, that's something you want to look into. But again, it's very common for what may have appeared to be an attic to also have poor ventilation. So you may want to see what kind of ductwork there is. And this goes to even a couple of the checkpoints that we can go over is, check out your furnace air filtration. And if there is none, then obviously nothing's getting filtered. Now, the ductwork will be contained in that same localized area that you'll find the furnace in the basement usually. It's pretty easy to tell if there's a lot of dust or contaminants. Often you'll have sometimes a release hatch that you can easily take off just to take a look with a flashlight. But most places that offer, and like let's say in California, there'll be places that offer home filtration or air filtration for the home, and they'll also do duct analyses and really look at that. So that would be my concern. Is I'm just trying to imagine what it would be like to be in a place like an attic, and that'd be very stuffy. That'd be poor circulation, and even a window opening. If you open a window in the spring and the fall, there's a fair bit of stuff coming in from the outdoors, in the way of molds and other active bacteria, while moisture is at a high level. So I would look at if there is no work that you can do with your ducts, because maybe it doesn't get up to there and it's an older home, then just get a suitable air filtration device. And I'm going to give you an example of what an air filtration device looks like. Now, the sizes can vary, but they really should contain 3 stages. And so I owe these devices a debt of gratitude for not having my mold illness progress beyond my bathroom, because each of my other rooms had their own filtration system. And so I'll break it down. The first, let's just slip off the underwear here. So this is the pre-carbon filter. So this is good for dust and other larger particulates. The second piece, that's the actual HEPA filtration. So if you're going out and you're buying a unit, say, well, I saw one at Sam's Club or Walmart or Costco, and you don't actually see a true HEPA filtration inside the unit, it's not a removable unit, then your dollars are probably better being saved in your bank account until you can buy one. So, and I've tried a lot of air filtration and sort of learned the lesson much later. Thankfully, I had the right product installed and ready to go when I was being bombarded. Yeah, so that's something that you replace usually depending on how often you have it on, depending on the quality of the air. If it's a cleaner home, but the example would be in an attic, you might be replacing that every 2 to 3 years. The pre-filter is every 6 months. You can easily rinse that off. And then usually inside, or not usually, many places don't offer this third component, and it's called the VOC, also known as the volatile organic compound filter. And so this is a true volatile organic compound filter. So this is great for outdoor exhaust fumes, carbon monoxide, paint fumes, other chemicals that are being off-gas, like let's say you put in a new carpet, or there's paint fumes or fingernail polish going on. This is going to get rid of the chemicals, and you would replace that yearly. I'll be honest, from what I'm seeing, most air filtration systems don't contain that. And if they do, it's often sort of a rough but soft filter piece that inserts here, and it's kind of just like it's just a core inside the inner piece. But that piece there, like a hockey puck, that right there is money in the bank. So you'll have a really good opportunity to stay clean and healthy. And that's another one too, to be honest. When you're
how many square feet can a unit like this cover? This
is recommended for, you're probably somewhere around a couple hundred, 250, 200. It'll clean more, but efficiently, you should get a bigger unit. If you have a very large living room, this is more for a small bedroom or a small office. Okay.
Okay. And Wade wants to know the brand of that filter.
So these guys here, they're called AmeriCare. They actually don't ship directly to consumers. So you have to actually go through one of their own in-house distributors. And so that's something that obviously is at bouncehealth.com. That's where I get these products from. And they come in all shapes and sizes. So, and yes, Wade, they can easily be shipped into California. So AmeriCare does this product, and I actually got to tour the facility. I see them being made, and I think it's very rare, because often you'll have a product that's mass produced, say like Honeywell. I've seen just in few cases where it's just a very basic air cleaner, and I try and look at the moving parts. And they're just different. So it depends what your goal is, and it depends what your budget is.
And Sabrina asks, what's the best material for a pillow? Any insights on that?
Well, whatever's natural. And to be honest, there's now a fair bit of evidence to support the fact that even pillows are being considered the new crack. They think sugar is bad. But what's happening is that pillows are a big industry, and if you go back to our ancestors, they never slept crouched up. They never had their necks hunched up. And so what's happening is it's putting the cervical spine out of alignment. Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing before you get to your best material for a pillow is figure out if you even need a pillow, because a lot of the people that I'll go to their homes and investigate for them, all of a sudden they give it a try and they say, I'm going to go without a pillow tonight, and their neck pain's gone and they sleep better. So that's not to say that, take my word and you're going to have a bad sleep and you're going to blame Andrew for not using a pillow. But I would get a pillow that has the ability to zip at the side, and you can remove and take as you like, because you really don't need the thickness of pillow that that you think you do. So that's the first thing that I would look at in a pillow. And then second, get something that's really clean and really natural. You can get 100% organic cotton pillows. You can get wool pillows. So it really depends. Like a wool pillow will obviously be warmer too. And I don't care much for that. I like to be like really cool at night, super cool. And
what about latex?
Latex is good.
Probably the safest.
Yeah. The only thing I noticed with latex pillows is that you need to know how to find them, because most of the latex pillows don't have that zip, and they come pretty fat. So then all of a sudden you have a question of like, I have this big pillow and now my neck is hunched up. Even though organic latex, which comes from the rubber tree, latex rubber, you're looking at a product that still has a bit of a scent. And so what I noticed, because I ended up getting 2 different types of pillows, the one that came with the bed and then the one that I thought would be a better fit for me. So I let it sort of aerate for a little bit, and now I actually have gone back. So I really do like the sort of rubber, all natural rubber products.
Yeah, and depending on whether you're a back sleeper or side sleeper, for side sleepers, something under your neck might be helpful because of your shoulder. But if you're a back sleeper, try sleeping flat on your back, and sometimes you can even put a roll under your neck. So instead of putting something here, which just pushes your head forward like this, you can put something in your neck, because most of us are already down like this all day. And so putting yourself for 8 hours in that position is going to further exacerbate the problem. And
that goes hand in hand, by the way, with the concept of the pillow, because there are options out there where you'll actually have the curvature pillows. So the first thing I would do is actually go try the stuff out. Go to a mattress showroom, go try it out, try the products and feel it out. And my one beware is, just because it's soft doesn't mean you're going to like it. So you sort of want a nice combination of soft and firm, and just imagine sleeping on that for an extended period.
And then Linda asks, what about if you have latex allergies? What are the other alternatives? We talked about wool, we talked about cotton.
Yeah, wool. I'm going to be honest though, a lot of the latex, like if you talk about latex paints, who doesn't have an allergy to that? It's just, it's not used very often anymore. But when you get into more natural latex and it's contained inside of a mattress, really there's no chance, or none that we've seen, from anyone reacting to that negatively. And that's also why a good mattress company will also offer, basically we'll make it better, or we'll give you your money back. So that's something else I would do. But you may want to stay away from the latex pillow and try a cotton or a wool pillow. But again, just kind of feel it out and go for something that really feels right.
Maybe no pillow.
Yeah.
Dominique asks what necklace, or Costandia says, let me go to this question first. So Dominique asks, what necklace do you use for EMF? Do you wear one?
So I do, and I just happened to take it off. It was beside me in my vehicle because I was taking off. I had a vest on, and so I use the EMF Airy Shield. It's a large defender, and there's all sorts of wonderful products out there. I think ultimately there's so many of them that it's hard to pinpoint any particular one that, if you're talking more of like, looks like we've got an Organite product.
Yeah, this is Organite.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to protect you. I mean, who knows, right?
How long have you had it for is my first question.
Probably like 7 months, 8 months now.
Okay. And have you charged it up? Have you done anything with it?
Since? No.
Okay, so I've actually bought Organite products, and they're really, really powerful. They're really incredible. The problem is they're absorbing energy. And as they absorb energy, it's like a sponge. You're going to have to probably wring out the sponge, rinse it out. So energizing it, there's tons of ways to do it. You can rub natural animal fur on it, stick it out in the moonlight. That would be my recommendation for any type of stone that you wear. I've even noticed bracelets that were gifted gemstones. They became rather fatiguing on my body's energies. So, you have to kind of freshen that up. But the product that I use is called Aries Defender. And it's kind of interesting, actually. It's a card, and it's in fact a military grade hologram. And so what it does, this is the only one I've ever seen any scientific proof of. And so what it does is it takes in the incoherent energy that comes in from all this chaotic invisible nervous system that we're confronted with, brings it in, and it manipulates it, encodes it, and sends it out into your body as energy that you can use. So I found that to be something that I initially was skeptical about, but then reviewing the studies, and there's tons of them, and then actually using it. And that's the thing about any product, to our audience, is that if it has a refund policy, that's probably a good confidence builder for you when you're trying out a product, because I've tried a lot of things out, and most of them have worked out to be quite useful. Some of them not so much.
Okay.
The name of the timer.
So mention the name of the timer for auto timer, the household Wi-Fi. So one of the things that we use that could be helpful for people is we have a timer that you can get from Home Depot or Lowe's or any home hardware store. And it basically is a switch. I mean, it's a plug that we plug into the wall, and then we can plug our Wi-Fi unit into it. So we plug our wireless router into this unit, and in the evenings at 10 o'clock, it shuts off automatically. And then in the morning, it turns on at 6 o'clock. So while we're sleeping, we don't have that unnecessary Wi-Fi exposure. Now, that being said, I live in a condo, so there's like 50 signals firing at any given moment. So I'm being cooked as we speak. But for someone who has a home who might only have a very few signals or just their signal, then setting your Wi-Fi on a timer could be extremely beneficial. Just a way that you don't have to think about it at the end of each day. And that could be your cue too. You could set it to turn off at 8, which means, all computers and Wi-Fi and everything off at 8 o'clock.
Forces you off the computers and the Netflix and everything else. That being said, anything that's in close proximity will have the most effect. So albeit there's tons of Wi-Fi everywhere, especially in a condo, it is good to shut her down. And that's a great suggestion to have the timer. Ultimately, there are some other things that you could do if you're in a condo and perhaps notice that there's still some stuff coming through the walls after you've gotten it tested. And first off, there are actual paints coming onto the market now where you can shield your walls in from it coming through to you. Second, there are many cases too where Wi-Fi modems are actually on the other side of someone's wall. So getting it tested and figuring out, okay, well, that's not where my head should be. Maybe I'll sleep on the other side of the room. Feng Shui expert says we're good to go, so let's do that. And then secondly, there's now a really cool concept that I've just introduced to my room, and it's actually a canopy. And the canopies themselves are, again, like silver material, tends to be very resistant to the influx of EMFs. I even have, well, it's somewhere there, even a foam pouch, a silver foam pouch. So even though I got the Aries on my phone, I still know that there's going to be some interference there between other devices. But going back to the canopy, that's something that you can look up. You can look up EMF canopy, and that's something that's also, oh yeah, less EMF.
So I posted a link for the paint, so you guys can check that out if you're in the process of painting. That might be something worth considering. I just painted my condo. I wish I knew about this. What about paints? What are things that people should look for when they're buying paint for their home?
Well, I've had a really exciting opportunity to work with paint, because it's more than just paint. It's more than just, well, I need to change this color because it's boring, or the place I'm moving into, it's no good. Couple things. So latex paints and oil-based paints. Latex paints are obviously an older style of paint, and that can be a really strong scent for some people. So we were discussing that earlier. To really, go and try the paint, like to actually see how strong the smell is, and just ask your paint provider, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, your source for paint, what do you think of something that will be less toxic? And so when you are painting, again, this comes down to air filtration, ventilation, circulation, opening up the windows. I wouldn't recommend painting when it's super hot, because it's very hard to dry. And if your windows have to be open and your air is on, there's sort of a conflict there. Second, you may not want to paint in the winter for the same reason. And also too, regarding paint, just from like a healthy home standpoint, I actually have painted my bedroom more than on many occasions to try different moods, and there was quite a dramatic effect, big dramatic effect. Right now it looks like Greece. It has that aquamarine, so when you wake up, well, when you actually open the blinds, when you wake up, you don't see a thing. It's a cave. But yeah, the mood enhancement effect of paints is very, very, I think, a very important aspect.
Another thing too, speaking of color of the room, is light bulbs. So we personally use 2700 Kelvin bulbs. These are LED bulbs. They supposedly use less energy. We try to keep our bulbs off as much as we can, but you can get these at any traditional hardware store, and they're going to be yellower on the spectrum. So here's the thing: when the light's yellow, you can't see blues. So this shirt in that light in my closet, and even in the rest of my room, looks like gray. It's really, so just be careful when you're trying to match your wardrobe. But those color temperatures are going to be far more conducive to helping you sleep better at night instead of having pure full spectrum white light. So a really cool thing that you can notice when you drive by buildings at night, you can take a look at people's light bulb colors in their homes, and you can predict who's going to have a better night's sleep. And so the people who have yellower bulbs, who have yellower light coming out of their condos, are probably going to get a better night's sleep, versus somebody who's got full spectrum lighting, who's just got all the lights turned on in the home, and it's the brain thinks it's daytime outside. So the light bulbs, especially for your kids, can make a big difference, because adults are running off of their the clock on their wrist or on their phone, whereas kids are running off of their biology. So if your kids have a hard time going to bed at night, well, turn off the TV, turn off the computers. You've got to do the same if you want them to do it. And then a really simple hack that you guys can do is just get those light bulbs in your home. And if you need to keep the lights on, use those as your light source, but you'll see a big difference. And then if you can take it to another level, you can have your kids wear these in the evening, and it's amazing how they just instantly fall asleep. So a couple of hacks for you parents out there. Any other questions? There's a bunch of you still on the call, so I just want to make sure we answer any questions that you guys have. Did you guys find this helpful? Okay, Wade is asking, what about smart meters installed in your home by the utility company, electric company? What effect does that have on a serious
gosh. Okay. Yeah, smart meters are a huge hazard, a massive hazard. From what I've done, I've actually spoken to a couple people in the US about their smart meters as well. From what I understand, in Canada, we're not allowed to opt out of it, but I believe there might be an opportunity, Wade, for you to see if there's a way to opt out of it and ask them to have it removed. If you can't have it removed, then there are options. If you type in smart meter EMF or smart meter shield, there are products popping up in the market. I got a chance to try a couple of them. I think because it was made in the US, it didn't quite fit the Canadian models. So that's one thing. Again, if you're going to buy something, see if there's a return policy. But I would look into a smart meter EMF or just type in smart meter radiation protection or EMF shields for smart meters. And yeah, they're starting to pop up now. Less EMF has it. EMF radiation shielding devices.
This one?
Oh, right down there. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so again, also on lessemf.com.
Great question.
Yeah, super. See, that's the thing. Even though we're taking in all these changes in our environment, it's like they just keep adding more and they keep adding more. It's not enough that the water and the air and the devices are floating around. They have to add a smart meter now, right? Yeah. So
people are getting hip to the water and the air in their homes, so now they're doing something else to us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so thank you everyone for all the questions and for all Andrew for your tremendous insight. Now, what you want to tell us about Balance Health, because I think that would be good for our audience to know.
Yeah, I'd love to. So going back to my story earlier, what interested me more in my 20s was the prospect of purchasing a product that would ultimately help me and support me. So I got into a lot of experimentation. And over the years, since I created Bounce Health Inc., I started off by offering teas and supplements and that sort of thing. And what I realized is that people, and obviously I had the biggest lesson in it, is that people needed just clean living support. They didn't need the tea that they can find anywhere. They didn't need the pills that they think they need. They need to get them from someone who's going to make sure they're the right product formulation for them. And that's why I don't even go there. We let the Living Proof Institute do their thing for that. But Bounce Health has now become really a one-stop shop for your clean air, clean water, clean light, and EMFs. So there's a number of opportunities there, and I wish I had brought it. I was thinking of bringing it, but I've been able to trick others into thinking I was actually healthier at certain points than I was, because I was able to even use light therapy to tighten up the skin. So there are really incredible ways that you can be supported, you can get what you need, and you can have fun with it. So, instead of maybe using this, you're going to have a shower anyways, why don't you install a shower filter and go from there? You're going to be breathing air, why don't you just have an air system? So there's a lot of different ways that Bounce Health caters to North America. I think the biggest one for us is that there's always something for someone, and you're always at a different point in your journey. And for many of you tuning in, I'm sure you're well versed with all the things that you need to be able to get that next step. So Bounce Health is now officially a clean living one-stop shop, and that's the background for the inspections that our team is now doing, and doing the mold inspection, doing the asbestos and bacterial inspection, and then making sure we let them know what our findings are and what our recommendations are, and then we either help them find the right product, or we actually take care of them and we set it up for them.
Okay. And Ruth is asking us if we can summarize the recommendations. Sure. So we talked about a few things. We talked about a shower filter. So getting a shower filter, and you can even travel with that. We talked about the roommate HEPA air filter, getting one that's appropriate for the right size. Mattresses, we talked about Dormio mattresses, but finding a non-toxic, natural fire retardant material. So the Dormia mattresses do that. And I'm sure there's other companies that do. That's just the one that we recommend. So depending on where you live, if you go to any, higher end mattress store, they're going to have natural alternatives for you. We talked about Feng Shui and using Feng Shui appropriately in the space if you're looking to heal and regenerate. We talked about the light bulbs in your home. So using a warmer color light bulb and 2700 Kelvin light bulb, and you'll see it'll say, 2700K, 4000K, 5000K. The higher the number, the more blue light is part of that. So you can do that. We talked about True Dark glasses. We'll share all these links. I've documented all the links in the chat, so you can look at that. We also talked about smart meters and reducing EMF for smart meters. We talked about canopies for your bed, so you can put a lining over your bed. We talked about natural flooring solutions for Wade.
Covered a lot.
Yeah, we talked about.
Let's be honest, hotels. We talked about carrying wrenches through customs, and
we also talked about paint that you can use that helps protect from EMF. So that was a pretty cool thing. We talked about a timer on your Wi-Fi. So timer plugs into your wall. You plug your Wi-Fi and router into that, and so it's a kill switch basically for your Wi-Fi units. We did a demonstration with the EMF detector and realized we were basically in a microwave. We did a lot, man. We covered a lot.
Yeah, we covered a ton. I'm going to be honest. I definitely thought we'd get into some more of the other types of information around high performance. Why don't we save that for our next webinar?
Sure.
Because I honestly think we could go on for hours about this. I mean, clean living is an interesting topic. It's an important one. And, you know, obviously you can see what Living Proof and the Institute has done to create that community awareness around getting your health to the next level. So thanks for all of you tuning in. And
yeah, and then so Andrew's site is bouncehealth.com, which I just posted in the chat, so you can take a look at that. And it's just how it sounds, bouncehealth.com. And on there, you'll find hundreds of different products that are all associated with helping
anti-aging too, anti-aging and rejuvenation.
Anti-aging. So there's purified air, clean water, light therapy, energy. So things that can help you improve your performance, and things that can help you age more gracefully, and you know, just concepts to keep your family healthy. And here's what I want to remind you guys of: that you might have only one person in your home sick, but it could still be your home making them sick, because everyone else might have a bigger bucket, or their bucket might not be as full, but somebody who's ill, their bucket might already be full, and the illness in the home, or the dysfunction, or the stagnant energy in the home, the EMF in the home, all of those things can override that person's natural defenses, and then they just become problematic. And only about 1 in 4 people are really sensitive, ultra sensitive to mold. So it could only affect one person in your household, but it could be that very person that you're trying to get well again. And a lot of these issues will cause long-term problems, not short-term problems. So it's important for us to mitigate these risks as much as we can. And it's also important to understand that these are invisible problems. So you can't see the chlorine in your water. You can smell it, but you can't see it. You can't see the fluoride in your water. You can't taste it. You can't taste or see or hear EMF, right? So you have devices to detect these things. You can't see the dust particulates very easily in your home. You can't see the spectrums of light necessarily, or differentiate between them. So all these things can be very problematic for us, and they're often overlooked and often untapped healing potentials. So before you see any doctor, or even if you are seeing a doctor, visit your home first. You know, take a look and take an honest inspection of your home, so that you can identify if it's that's making you unwell or causing problems for you. And then seeing a functional medicine doctor might be more effective, because then you're not leaving their office, going back into a toxic environment. So thank you for that. And then did you say that you had a coupon?
Yeah, so as of tomorrow, we're going to check in for 12 o'clock Eastern Standard, so that it'll be up and running. If you do Living Proof 10 at the checkout on bouncehealth.com, you'll get 10% off on your order. And as you can see there too, you're also going to get free shipping on any order over $149. And you know what? For the listeners that I see come in, I'm also going to throw in an extra little gift with every order as well. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity. And again, like, I think this is an important one, that don't wait till you get a car accident. Take the precautions to make sure you're a good driver. And, you know, that even goes into my high performance talk about, you know, what are the tasks you're responsible for. But when it comes to your home, set up the precautions. Know that these things are changing, and be proactive, especially if you have loved ones who are looking up to you. That makes me feel powerful. And I know that's something Sachin speaks about every single time you mention something. It's about his wife Deepa and his son Devin. And it's one of those things when you care and you have the community and your family's there, set those precautions up and make the most of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys. We'll make sure that we attach all these links in the summary that we send out and the replay that we send out. We'll make sure that you get the coupon code as well. So that'll be effective as of tomorrow. So just check your email tomorrow about noon Eastern. We'll try to send it out sometime after that, so the code works. And then, yeah, peruse around on the websites, check out some of the other links that we're going to share with you, and just start looking at your home. I think it's an untapped healing there's an untapped healing potential, and everyone has room to improve their home. One thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is I've become a minimalist. So getting rid of a lot of stuff has helped, because everything accumulates dust, right? So the less stuff you have, the less stuff the dust can accumulate on, and make sure you keep everything air circulating. Just like you need to breathe to get rid of toxins, your home needs to breathe as well.
Your home is an organism, and when it doesn't breathe, then all of a sudden you have other organisms coming in saying, well, you're not breathing. So, hi, I'm mold and I'm going to hang out here. So that's also another reason why, if you're building a home, as I'm doing, or if you're purchasing a home, really check on the ventilation, check on how dry the basement is, because if a home wasn't, if it wasn't standing up to the conditions of the moisture, then you might start seeing hidden forms of mold. And in many cases, we're seeing mold spores that are honestly that big, hidden, out of sight, behind the walls, and it's causing the entire family to be ill. So yeah, it's big.
Scary stuff. And, maybe we can close on this note. You talked about, On Guard being a good kind of mold mitigating product. Do you recommend that in the showers as well? Like, what do you recommend in the showers? Because I know a lot of people probably watching this don't use bleach, and you might have a little mold in your bathroom. What would you recommend for that? Is there any suggestions you have?
Well, I mean, honestly, I go as if I can eat it, if I can put it on my skin, then I'm going to rock and roll with it. And that's why I'm really big about the oils, because of the fact that they are natural. You can use them. And oils do, in fact, have some of the greatest kill rates of molds. And so having it actually aerate in the bathroom is big. But if you suspect your bathroom has mold, I guess there's a couple ways to look at it. Mine was hidden behind the tiles in the concrete barrier, which should have been concrete, but in fact was wood, the vapor barrier, they call it. And so I didn't know about that. So a little bit of essential oils really doesn't bring enough effect to it. So I'm going to be honest, if you suspect that there's something going on with mold, there are mold tests that you can get. I believe Asprey has mentioned them as well. Dave Asprey is also a mold sufferer. And, the effect that has on your mitochondria can't be overstated. Like, it's so important that, you really take an assessment of what you see, what you smell, how you feel. I noticed I'd get really wheezy and tired after my shower, and it didn't dawn on me because I'm sitting there with my shower filter on, thinking I'm a wise guy. Meanwhile, my hot shower was so hot because there's no chlorine, but then my lungs and my pores and my capillaries are opening up for the mold to say, come on in. So from a mold standpoint, try to cut it off as soon as you can. Make sure you got proper ventilation in the bathroom, because that's often where it is. And you can tell, like I said, if your mirror gets really, really foggy when you come out, that's a good sign your bathroom fan's not keeping up with the effect of your shower.
It's my wife. It's like
Deepa.
Super steamy in there, and she's notorious for not turning the fan on. So I got to walk in there, windows all steamed up,
Deepa.
Fan's not on, and then she turns it off when she leaves. I'm like, no, you got to leave this thing on all day, right? You got to let this place circulate, because we don't have windows in our bathroom. So, take those special precautions, like take those extra measures, and you can diffuse some On Guard in there, like after you.
Just again, ventilation, keeping it clean. Making sure, too, that you are using appropriate products. There are a lot of wonderful cleaning supplies out there. I don't know the product name itself, but I believe if we looked up all natural mold cleaner, that's something else that we can plug over. But I've seen products available for cleaning mold. Personally, from what I've seen of them, I'm not that convinced that it's the most natural method. So you might be kind of killing off something and then introducing something else. So really take an assessment of it. We're able to do in sort of the GTA, the general Ontario area, we're able to go into homes and we actually will test, and we will get you that inspection report. The same reports that I got when I discovered that I was up to my neck in all sorts of bacterial strains, Stachybotrys and wood mold strains. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, brother.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you sharing. Appreciate you offering our viewers a discount and all this knowledge and information. And we'll send out this replay to everyone. So keep an eye out for that in your inbox. And if you find that this could help somebody, then please feel free to share it as well when we send it out. So with love, with gratitude, I hope you guys have an amazing evening. I'm going to go home and see if I can put my little guy to sleep tonight. spend some time with him. And yeah, I learned a lot today. So I'm gonna kind of take all these links, and I'm gonna go home and see what I can do to improve our home environment too. So I thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you again soon.
Bye, guys.